And welcome everyone, Kyle Martin for another episode of Discover Marshalltown, and we are outside. Obviously today we've come outside of the studios, maybe for the first time ever, at least since I've been hosting the program. And we want to welcome in Annemarie Selnes, and she is the brand new Marshalltown Park and Rec Director. And welcome, and you've been on the job since what, April 25th officially?
Yeah, about 3 months now.
3 months, hard to believe. And let's get a little biographical information on you. I understand you're from Minnesota.
I'm from Caledonia, Minnesota, which is north of Decorah and west of La Crosse, so just kind of right on the border.
Okay. And as far as education is concerned, to get into Park and Rec, is there a degree that's offered in that?
Yes, I have a master's degree in Park and Recreation Management from UW La Crosse, and then I was also certified as a Certified Park and Rec Executive, which is the highest level in the National Park and Recreation Association's credentials.
Okay. And where have you been? I mean, we know you came from Minnesota, but before you came here, did you hold similar positions somewhere else?
Yes, I was a state park manager, a Minnesota state park manager in 5 different parks. I was the director of a special needs camp right before I came here. And then I've also worked with the Minnesota Department of Agriculture. I have a bachelor's degree in entomology, so I'm familiar with forest and ag pests.
Wow. Well, forests, we certainly have a lot of trees here. We're out in the beautiful Riverview Park for folks who aren't able to see where we're at, and a beautiful hot, muggy summer day here while we're filming. As far as forestry is concerned, what all goes into getting a degree or to specialize in something like that? I mean, that sounds really, really interesting.
Yeah, like I said, my background is entomology, which is the study of insects, and I'm familiar with like gypsy moth, emerald ash borer, corn rootworm, European corn borer, those kind of pests.
Right. I just did an interview the other day about the emerald ash borer, and it's not here in our county, but it's in some of the surrounding counties, and there were some concerns. And we have a lot of trees here. If they get in the bark, it's a really tough situation, isn't it? I mean, most of the time they just cut the trees down.
Yeah, they're hard to control. And Kristen Titus, our city horticulturist, is really keeping an eye on our trees here as well. So.
Yeah, so far, according to the DNR, no emerald ash borers within the county. So you've been on the job here about 3 months. Anything that surprised you when you got here, or had you already seen, a park and rec department similar to this size?
What surprised me, I think, is all the parks that you have here. There's 19 parks here in Marshalltown, and that is super cool, I think, for a community this size. And our park staff, as you can see, they're out mowing today. They do a really good job keeping up all of these parks. I think we mow around 100 acres. There's a lot to do to maintain all of these parks and facilities.
And I was going to ask a little bit about that as far as the maintenance of the parks. Is there a special department that's just dedicated to mowing and raking and mulching and all
weeding.
Of that, and weeding? Yes, there are an awful lot of weeds as well associated with park care, and taking care of the ponds, the retention ponds. Is there somebody that's specially dedicated to just doing that?
Yeah, we have a parks crew that has an office on East Main. Brad Weave is the superintendent of that outdoor crew.
Okay.
He does a really good job.
Yeah, most definitely. Riverview Park is kind of, I would say, the cornerstone, maybe the park that most people think of, along with Anson Park. The 2 big parks here, and I'm being attacked. Speaking of entomology, being attacked here. But as far as Riverview Park is concerned, would you say, along with the dog park, it's probably one of the most utilized?
I think there's a lot of use here in the park. I mean, it's the dog park. We have the frisbee golf, the disc golf.
Yeah.
We've got numerous different playgrounds, shelter buildings. There's a lot of neat things to do here in this park.
Yeah, the camping too is also something that is kind of neat here. And as far as the dog park is concerned, I know there was a really large community effort and fund raising. I'm trying to think of the gentleman's name. I think it was Bill Ernie, who helped spearhead a lot of the fundraising for this. And it was something that he really felt our community needed. There are a lot of communities that would love to have something like this.
Yeah, it's a nice setup. The large dogs can be in this part, and that's about 3.5 acres. The small dogs are in the farther one, and that's about an acre. There's some neat features here, like there's a double entry gate so that your dogs can get in without, running into another dog. There's some water features. There's tubes and benches. It's handicapped accessible, so there's a lot of interesting use out here. And I was talking to some women out here yesterday, and they had some ideas for things that we could improve, maybe put in a path that could go all the way around, and they would like to see some more trees on the backside for more shade. Well, it's been a pretty hot summer, so shade is good. So
most definitely. Let's talk a little bit about the aquatic center. Also falls under the umbrella of the Park and Rec Department. We have seen, I wouldn't say record use, but we've seen a real uptick in use of the aquatic center. And like you alluded to, it's been a really hot summer. So a lot of folks are going over to the aquatic center. Attendance has been pretty good from what I know. We haven't had too many days where we've had to just kind of close it up.
That's correct. Yeah, we're running maybe 400 or 500 a day. Our biggest day was, I think, Monday, July 11th, and we had about 900 people that day. But it has been really busy, and we've had some special events. There's birthday parties out there and splash dances. And, the water walking is really popular. There's just, it's a fun venue for everyone.
Yeah, a really popular event, of course, and they hold this at the end of the season. It is the dog.
The doggy dip.
The doggy dip. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, and obviously they hold that at the end of the aquatic center season because dogs have a lot of hair and it would tend to clog up the drains, and you might have to totally readjust the pH level of the pool. So you hold it at the end, and that is insanely popular. I know you haven't been here for that yet, but it's coming up.
Yeah, it will be Monday and Tuesday night next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're getting ready to kind of wrap up the aquatic center.
Yeah.
That is one of the gems of Marshalltown. A lot of communities don't have an aquatic center like that. So, and as far as lifeguards are concerned and people that work, the concessions, do they fall under the jurisdiction of the Park and Rec Department, or is that the community-wide?
The concession stand, the Parks and Rec does run, but the Y does a really good job of supplying us with lifeguards and keeping everything going and rotating shifts for everybody. So yeah, they've done a really good job staffing for us.
Yeah, most definitely. And
it's a good partnership.
It is. It is. And I know that you mentioned the water walking, the water fitness that you can get by water walking. That seems to be one of the most popular things, people of all ages.
Yes.
And now let me ask you this, and I think I might have asked Jennifer Hart this when I've interviewed Jennifer Hart many times on Man on the Street on KFJB. As far as the water walking is concerned, is the current on when they're walking, or is it off? Do you know? Because
it's moving.
It's moving, but it's not like...
No, it's not crazy fast.
It's not crazy. There might be some resistance there, but it's supposed to be really good.
I know some people have asked to have it turned down, and we can't. That's the natural flow of it.
It's just on. Something else that falls under the jurisdiction of the Park and Rec office, and it's kind of unique, and maybe you haven't dealt with something like this in some of your other jobs, is our Coliseum. And obviously it's a sports facility. They used to play a lot of basketball there. From what I understand, high school basketball games were played there for many years, and junior high basketball games as well. But it's become kind of a multi-purpose facility. It's a very historic building here within our community, but that is utilized an awful lot, especially during the winter months.
And we have things in there every day right now. We've got Zumba, we've got pickleball, we've got Taekwondo. Our summer blast daycare camp is going on right now. And we are working on a grant to start a feasibility study to see what we can do with the future of the Coliseum. It's a grand 1928 structure. Everyone in this community seems to remember going there for something. And if you walk in, the upstairs needs some work, and we've had different people come in and ask if they can use the upstairs, and it's not fit for that right now. But so we're going to start with a study and see what we can come up with a plan for the future for that building.
Right. For many years on KFJB, and this happens quite often, I get asked about the KFJB barn dance. which was held in the Coliseum for many. It was a live radio program that was held in the Coliseum, and it was, you know, you had entertainers and singing groups and gospel groups, and it was really popular. And they move all the chairs and have a dance after the radio program. So that was incredibly popular on KFJB for many years in the 30s and 40s. And what is that? We have some furry friends. Speaking of tell me about this, since you have a background in this little furry friend.
It's a moth caterpillar. I'm not sure what the species is, but he was crawling on me.
Okay,
So.
I was like trying to figure out why you were elbowing me.
I was going to put him on your shirt.
Okay. Would have totally freaked me out. I may have screamed like a little girl. Let's talk about some of the shelters and some of the buildings that can be rented out through the Park and Rec Department. There are, you know, some here, obviously at Riverview, and I often think of the community building and Anson Park as a shelter as well. But those are very popular, and they're rented out for just a variety of things.
Yeah,
Family reunions, get-togethers, picnics, obviously graduation. From what I understand, these things need to be booked way in advance if you want to have a graduation party or a wedding dance or party.
Yeah, Becky, our administrative assistant, pulled numbers this morning for June, and I think our facilities were rented 56 times in June, which is a lot of rentals. And you're right, we have the community building, we have Reunion Hall, the log cabin, Anson Park Shelter, Kiwanis Park Shelter, and all of this information is in our brochure that you can get at the Park and Rec office or even online.
Yeah,
so.
And that's an awesome publication, and you can get it, like you said, online, but there are many, many places in the community where you can get that. And it's got a lot of registration information too, because Becky Badke does an awesome job at the Park and Rec Department. If you call and you ask Becky a question, she can tell you everything. Registration, when it is, ages and requirements and stuff like that. But a lot of that stuff is readily available.
Right, and we just updated our website to make it more user-friendly, and we're trying to encourage people to do their registrations online. And our hope for next year is that all our rental facilities will also be online so that people can go on the website any time of the day or night and see if a building's available. It'll be more of a customer service kind of thing that they can know if the building's available when they need it for their date.
Right. When I think Park and Rec, and it's two-tier, obviously, because it's Park and Rec. Obviously, you know, we're out in a park, and we've talked an awful lot about parks, but let's talk about the rec side a little bit. And we did talk about the brochure. You guys offer so many activities. Softball is a huge one. Pickleball has just taken off like crazy, and pickleball had to be totally explained to me. But it was explained to me like you were playing tennis or table tennis, and you were actually on the table with a ball. Yeah. Is that what it's like? And it's played.
It's got a big wiffle ball. Like it's a different ball, and it moves a little slower, but it's a fun sport to watch. Yeah.
Okay. And that is really taken off. Let's talk about some of the sports and activities through the Park and Rec. Softball is big, obviously, and we utilize the 6th Street softball complex for that. What are some of the? I think flag football.
Yeah, I was just pulling out our fall brochure will be coming out shortly. We have like fall adult leagues, men's and women's volleyball, women's volleyball, men's volleyball. You can create your team, put your team together. And then we also have power volleyball, recreational basketball. A lot of people like Zumba. We have Zumba almost every day. Great instructors there. Pickleball, taekwondo. There's a lot of different recreational activities going on that people can participate in.
Right, and I did Zumba one time, only one time. I seriously, and I kid you not, Annemarie, I thought I was going to die when I did Zumba. It was incredibly painful for me. It is a lot of aerobic exercise all at one time. It was fun for just a little while.
All right, what do we got?
Just came in. Heart attack. 5'9", 300 pounds, 32 years old.
How the hell does that happen?
Can I get a, Could be developing diabetes. You have to make a change. Oh, yeah.
You're graduating! Watch TV. You won't even have to leave.
You can't do this.
Yes, can I get a...
Yeah, no, deep dish.
You have to make a change. Good job, Jim. You got an A+.
Here are your fries, sweetie. You go.
I still can't believe you give this child french fries.
I know, but it's the only thing that'll make him stop.
And we're back. Kyle Martin hosting Discover Marshalltown. Annemarie Selnes, our Marshalltown Park and Rec Director, and she is fairly new to the job. We are outside today. We had to move a little bit because actually the wind was changing just a little bit. We were getting a little smoke. I don't know where the smoke was coming from. Kind of remind me of the Platters song, "Smoke Gets in Your Eyes." But we're so we changed the angle up a little bit. You don't need to adjust your television set. But before we went to commercial break, we were going to talk about the championship disc golf course, which is out here at Riverview Park. And people come from all over. I hear an awful lot of great things about this. Now, I haven't had an opportunity to play yet, but from what I understand, it's utilized quite a bit.
Yes, and when we got out here earlier today, there's a whole group of people playing, and it is an 18-hole championship disc golf course here in Riverview.
Let's go ahead and talk about a couple of initiatives, some new programs that you are hoping to spearhead through the Park and Rec. One involves monarch butterflies. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I'm starting a program called Monarchs and Milkweed for the Marshalltown area, and I'm working with Mike Stegman and Diane Hall from out at Grimes Farm, Marshall County Conservation, and also Val from the Convention and Visitor Bureau. And our goal is, I have a picture here, I don't know if you can see it, but on September 10th, we'll be starting at the Marshalltown Public Library, and we'll be doing a presentation on the monarch migration. Diane will be giving that presentation. She's actually been to Mexico to see where the monarchs go. We'll be doing family crafts and different activities all related to monarchs. We'll be giving out milkweed seed packets to every family so you can take them home and start maybe a little mini milkweed garden in your backyard. And then we're all going to go out to Grimes Farm, and we're going to actually collect some monarchs and tag them there out at Grimes Farm. So that'll be a really fun event. It just kind of get people outside and away from their computers and try something new in town this year.
From what I understand, milkweed attracts monarch butterflies. Is that why we would plant it?
Yeah, it's the only plant that the milkweed or that the monarch caterpillar can live on. It needs to eat like 18 or 20 leaves to grow from a little egg stage, and then it hatches into a little larva. You've got 5 larval stages, and then the chrysalis stage, and then it comes the monarch butterfly. And
they migrate from Canada all the way to Mexico, is that right?
Yeah, Canada, Minnesota, Iowa. I've heard a lot of people say they actually come right through some of their farms here in Iowa, so that's pretty neat. I'll be looking forward to seeing that this fall.
Several years ago when they were migrating through, I remember seeing thousands of them in a tree. It's really, really something to see.
It is very interesting, yeah.
So that's a really neat initiative. I know you have another one that you're working on as well, and I got the name backwards, but it involves swimming and hiking.
Swim, bike, hike for community art. And yes, I'm working with Val Ruffagin, she's going to help with that, and Terry Schaefer from Emerson, Carol Hibb from the Y, I'm trying to think who else. Oh, and Pat Thompson with Public Health. And that program is you log in how many minutes of exercise you do, and it's kind of on the honor system. We'll have a registration sheet, and you can say where you did your exercise and how many minutes. And then when you get to a certain level of minutes, you'll be awarded a tile or a block of wood in a certain color. So different minutes are worth different values of a colored block. And then we're going to build a big community mural or quilt, mosaic, something like that with these blocks. So that way everyone in the community can get in on it if they want. The first level will be pretty easy, so everybody who wants a block on this community mural can be involved in this project.
Really neat. So how can somebody find out more information? Have you set up a website or anything like that, or can you find out more on the Park and Rec Department website?
Yeah, we'll probably be launching it end of September, early October, and it will be on our website, the Y, the CVB. We're even going to try and get people from out of town who are in the hotels for the weekend to participate and be part of our community mural. So anyone who comes to town can be part of it. Everybody here in town can be part, and we can see how big we can make this mural.
That is really neat. Well, let's talk about another part of your job. The commissions. There are different commissions for the Park and Rec. Are they volunteer? Now, the ones that I was thinking about, the Park and Rec Advisory Committee.
Yes.
The responsibilities, and there are other committees as well. But what about that one in particular? What does that entail?
Well, we bounce ideas off each other, and they've been really helpful to me, just saying, yeah, that's something we've done in the past, or maybe we don't want to do that. We talk about the aquatic center statistics. We talk about really anything that's going on. I bring them up to speed, and they have ideas because they've been in this community longer, obviously, than I have. I've been here 3 months, so yeah, so it's good to bounce ideas off of them.
Very good. What about the Softball Association? I mean, I'm guessing you're talking about softball. I could be right.
Yeah, there's a lot of league work, and Jenny's really been handling most of that and
Jennifer
doing a
Hart.
really good job. Yes.
Yeah, that's another one. The Coliseum Commission. Maybe you are discussing what you talked about. Some of the maybe fixing it up, sprucing it up a little bit. Is that?
Yeah, it's a 5-member board. They're all vets. We did tour the Coliseum back in June and walked through everything and looked at what needed to be fixed, maybe some ideas of what we could do, and that's when we kind of started thinking there's got to be some grants out there that we could use to, restore the building to its beautiful grandeur.
Yeah. As far as employees, we talked a little bit about the folks that work in the grounds. We talked about those folks that do the mowing and, like we said, the mulching and the weed pulling. What about some of the other employees that might fall under your jurisdiction? Umpires. We did talk about the lifeguards, but I'm guessing some of them are paid, some of them might be volunteer.
Yeah, and they really handle that. There's people who supervise that part of it. We don't have a whole lot to do with that right now. The Softball League is trying to take over on their own and kind of pull away from Parks and Rec a little bit.
Okay.
But we have like 70 to 75 staff hired in the summer running all kinds of different programs, daycares and special needs programs, just the swimming lessons and the concessions and admission, and so it's a big staff load in the summer for sure.
It's an awful lot to oversee. As far as rental of equipment, I know occasionally you will, through the Park and Rec Department, folks can come and rent out certain pieces of sports equipment. Is that still readily available?
Yeah, we have some things. I think someone was in for horseshoes and volleyball nets, and some of that's free now too. So we don't do a lot of rentals right now.
Right, right. And we did talk a little bit about the shelter houses and the rentals, but you can rent out the Coliseum as well.
Absolutely, yes. And there's what we call a catering kitchen in there. You can't really prepare a huge meal because we don't have the right kind of stoves and hoods, but you can bring in crock pots and that kind of thing and serve a meal there, absolutely.
Yeah. I attended the daddy-daughter dance through the Park and Rec with my young daughter, and that you guys do little activities like that, little programs where you'll get a DJ and put on something like that at the Coliseum. I think that's a really neat feature to kind of supplement, to contribute to all that you do.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the city government side of it, because occasionally you'll go to the city council and have to give reports. Is that something that you've had to do before in other communities? So you're fairly comfortable because they film those, so they record those, Annemarie. So obviously this is something that you've done.
Yes, I've done it before for land acquisitions, asking for permission for acquisitions in state parks. I've had to do this before. So.
Okay. As far as the parks are concerned, I want to circle back to the parks. Have you had an opportunity to drive around, because they're spread out? I mean, they're in every single corner of our community. Have you had an opportunity to go? I need to move.
Just quit turning around.
Okay, just quit turning around. See, we do this show back in the studio, so I sit in a chair, I rarely move. Have you had an opportunity to drive around and visit all of them?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's some of them that we, making lists of things that need to be repaired or fixed, or we get some calls and someone will say, there's garbage tipped over here, there's glass broken here, and so it's good that people are out and about and letting us know, because we don't get out to all the parks every day for sure.
Okay. As far as these initiatives are concerned, like the two with the Monarchs, and are there any that you may think down the road that you might want to initiate here that you did somewhere else, or those I didn't even ask you that. The two initiatives as far as Monarchs and the other one with the quilt, the mosaic, was that something you did in another community, or is that something you just decided to do here?
It's a little different than things I've done. When I was in Houston County, I did chair the Barn Quilt Committee.
Sure.
And I set up tours throughout the county with bus tours, and we had 70 barn quilts in Houston County. So yes, I chaired that entire program. So that's probably why the quilt thing is coming back to me here.
Well,
and I think I was asked that in the interview, how can we apply that here? And I didn't know at the time, but so it is kind of coming around again.
Yeah, you never know when you say that you did something in another community, they might go, hey, that's really good.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's do that here. I find it very interesting with the Park and Rec Department. You mentioned Mike Stegeman and Diane at the Marshall County Conservation Board. How you guys work hand in hand on many things, whether it be equipment or whether it be programs. Have you found that to be a very rewarding relationship?
Absolutely. I found that partnerships in Marshalltown everyone likes to partner here. Everyone's really creative and they like to jump on board and volunteer. And if you say you have an idea, everyone's like, oh yeah, that's super cool, and maybe we should do it this way. And so it's been really fun, really rewarding partnering with all these different groups in town. I've been impressed with that.
Excellent. I want to thank you, Annemarie. Now somebody told me you like to go by Ann instead of Annemarie.
Ann is fine. It's either way.
Okay.
It is one word, but Ann is fine.
Okay, yeah. Ann. I want to thank Annemarie Selnes, our Park and Rec Director, for being on Discover Marshalltown today. We've had a wonderful time. It's been kind of fun to be outdoors, I have to admit it. Craig, I would like to do more shows outside on the road if we can. For Discover Marshalltown, I'm Kyle Martin. We'll talk to you next time.